Good evening, Masters Lightfoot, friends, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Trey Brown. I'm proud to represent Lead by Example Fair Oaks. I want to tell you what Lead by Example has done for me. 11 years ago, I was a Navy helicopter pilot. I returned from my first deployment to the Persian Gulf, made aircraft commander, and was an instructor pilot teaching others how to fly on night vision goggles and how to use our laser and hellfire missile system. I lived life with true confidence, maybe even some good-natured cockiness. 10.5 years ago, on my second deployment to the Persian Gulf, I had flown all night in the rocky airspace, and in the bright morning sunlight, we were hovering next to our ship, and didn't have any visual cues to see what was happening, and didn't realize our ship was backing up until we collided with another ship that was an anchor, and we spun out of control and crashed into the water. I'm not sure how I lived through it, and not everybody did. I was the pilot in command of the flight. I was the pilot on the controls, and I was responsible for somebody's death, a member of my crew. About 2 weeks later, I was patched up enough that I get to fly home. And I made it back just as Jen went into labor with our first son, Ben. And in the hospital, the doctors weren't doing what they should have been doing as they were coming on and off shift. But whether because I was still in shock or I was hurt, I didn't step in. And 56 hours later, when Ben was born, Jen and Ben were both hurt pretty bad. And I blamed myself. I did. Now, a lot of you know Ben. You may not know much of his history before we came to Lead by Example. When Ben was 2, he stopped talking. He stopped interacting with the world, and he sat by himself, and he hummed, and he spun his hands, and he ignored everything else in his world, including us. And that scared us pretty badly. And a couple months later, we found out for sure that he had autism. And we were devastated. And I wondered if it was my fault for letting him be damaged in the hospital. So, over the next 4 years, we poured all of our time and energy and resources into helping Ben. And he worked much harder than a kid that age should have to work. By the time he was...
It's okay, baby. It's okay.
By the time he was 3 years old, he was in therapy 30 hours a week. And he learned to talk again, but he didn't really understand his world or know how to play with other kids. And he didn't know how to communicate his needs to us even. And the school system was making things worse instead of helping. And so, while all that was going on, Ben was angry a lot of the time because of that, and he scared our family, and most of our friends and their kids didn't know how to be around him, so people stopped visiting. And with the stress of all that, Jennifer got really sick and had a bunch of symptoms we couldn't explain. And I felt like my family was falling apart and I was failing as a husband and father. So, 4.5 years, almost 5 years ago, without being able to sell the house that we have in Maryland, we moved to Virginia. And the school system was very helpful here. Things started to even out for Ben. And I found a job that frustrated me, but that I was very good at. And so 4 years ago, we were looking for another way to help Ben. And we enrolled him here at Lead by Example in the adapted class for special needs kids. And Ben was 6. His little brother Cooper was 4, and we enrolled Cooper in the White Belt Ninja class. And I spent a lot of time driving Cooper back and forth to class and talking about his fears and anxieties and his hopes and dreams. And I kind of got to know my other kid. And 3.5 years ago, Cooper talked me into taking class, and I survived those first few weeks, and then I felt my body was stronger, my mind was clear, and I was more relaxed. But in the time leading up to that, Jen had gotten more sick and had lost about a third of her body weight and had a bunch of symptoms that specialists here in D.C. eventually gave up on. So a couple months after I started here, we went to the Mayo Clinic, and she spent 3 months that year at the Mayo Clinic, and they started pulling apart all her symptoms and figured out a few things they could fix and a lot of things that she would have to manage, but at least she knew what they were. So 3 years ago, Jennifer joined Lead by Example through the Gold Belt Challenge to help balance and manage life. And we got to know Master T and Master J, Miss Laura. We got to become friends with other parents like Tom and Kathleen and Jamie and Robin and Whitney and Digna and Rena. And we got to be friends with other students, and Thomas and I would beat the ever-loving tar out of each other every 3 weeks during sparring. And a couple years ago, Ben competed in the tournament, stood over here, and he performed Kamsa, just like he did tonight. And I stood over there with my friends and cried because of how far he'd come. So, I've heard a lot of black belt speeches over the last 4 years, and a lot of them refer to the student creed that's up on the wall over here. And I'll talk about knowledge in the mind and honesty in the heart and strength in the body. And I'm proud I can do more push-ups now than when I was on active duty in the Navy. I still got beaten out by a 13-year-old girl in this year's black belt test. Thanks, Rachel, wherever you are. But it's the next line of the student creed, the strong and happy community that changed my life. Having true friends who love us for who we are. It gave me the true confidence. So, about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, I was given an opportunity to take a job as a speechwriter, which would mean leaving that career field that I was advancing very quickly in. But I've always wanted to be a writer since I was a little kid, and I just never thought I could make a career out of it. But I took that chance and took the job about 20 months ago. And about 8 months ago, my boss was recognized as having given one of the best and most important speeches in the world in the summer of 2012. And I think without Lead by Example, I'm not sure I would have had the confidence to take the job, much less write that speech. But one more thing. Cooper, 6 months ago, 4 years ago, Cooper was our invisible kid. We only enrolled him here because we enrolled in Ben. But 6 months ago, he was a brand new brown belt and had just turned 8. And he convinced Master T to let him help with the adapted classes, like the one that Ben's in on Saturdays. So for the last, 4 years ago, he was our almost forgotten kid. And over the last 6 months, he's gotten to know, he's taught 2 classes every Saturday and gotten to know 15 kids and their names and their disabilities and their strengths, and he praises, corrects, and praises them. There he is. And he always has a smile and encouragement. And the students respond to him, and the parents love and respect him as an instructor. And I know because they've told me. Hi, Cooper. So over the last 4 years, because of Lead by Example, at least a lot because of Lead by Example, I watched the 3 people that I care about most in this world grow. Jen is stronger and she can balance and manage life. Ben is more confident in social situations and at school, and even here graduating to advanced gold belt today. And he's shown me he's not damaged. He's amazing. And Cooper, yes, hi Cooper. Cooper's shown that we only enrolled him because we were enrolling Ben, but he's shown over the last 6 months and over the last 4 years that he has value and he can lead by example. And the best part is we can celebrate this with Thank you, Cooper, who just left. And Ben, for inspiring me every day. Thank you, Jennifer, for loving me and our two beautiful boys. And we're proud to lead by example. Fair Oaks assistant instructor, father of 2 students, and husband of another. Thank you.